I'd like to call the meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Mrs. Fields? Here. Mr. Nuss?
Here.
Mrs. Van Zandt? Here. Mrs. Steele? Here. Mrs. Stahl is not here. Mrs. Whitty? Here. Mr. Dagstein?
Here.
Have a quorum.
All right, please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Sussex-Wantage Regional School District Board of Education has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted in the school building, and notice of said meeting sent to the New Jersey Herald and the Star Ledger.
The Sussex-Wantage Regional School District is a responsive, caring, child-centered community. Their mission is to educate each individual to become a competent, lifelong learner and productive, responsible citizen by providing challenging opportunities in a safe environment through a partnership of families, schools, and communities.
All right, we will move on to the report of the superintendent of schools.
Good evening, everyone. Just to give you a little update on some of the bigger projects that have been happening in the district. Today, pretty much all of the Lawrence School paving project was completed. We did that main upper parking lot. Line striping went down yesterday. Bollards went in today. Some bollard cover sleeves still need to be put on, but the parking lot should be open for visitation tomorrow. They may still have up some temporary fencing, but they'll be in the process of taking that away. All indications the project went pretty smooth, and it seems like a great product has turned out. Zytone Construction. The Wantage School and the middle school have done, we've done complete overhauls of the PA systems here. One of the things that we talked about, the administration, the teachers, the security guards, was communication in general. And they were experiencing some difficulties at the Wantage School. Built in 1937, the infrastructure was largely original. This building, I think, a couple years before that. So we did a complete overhaul, and we're integrating it with some of our emergency procedures and communication processes, and that should be wrapped up. They're doing some final testing tomorrow. And then in the Lawrence School, because the infrastructure was much newer than the other two buildings, we're doing some add-on features that will take place, the install will take place mid-September, but they're not anticipated to compromise us in any kind of way as far as school operations. Curriculum, special services. The big thing we're kind of waiting to hear back is our application for pre-K expansion. That's something we applied for. We talked about it a little bit at the last meeting or two with the state of New Jersey. That's a grant to gradually increase the number of folks we offer pre-K to completely free, in the sense that the state of New Jersey would back that. Not our process, but the state of New Jersey's. They'll tell us on or about September 3rd whether or not we're recipients, and we're expected to have the program that we submitted in place by October 1st. So, narrow little window there, but that's how they function. One issue that I'm seeking to correct on the next agenda would be in the last agenda we reconfigured some substitute pay scale, and the entry level was listed at $80 and it was previously $85, so I'm going to look to revert that back to $85. The rest would stay intact, and it wouldn't compromise anybody's pay for the first month of September, because substitutes aren't paid until the end of the month. An exciting thing that happened, unbeknownst to me, was not planned to happen. I mean, we put in the request some time ago, but across the street from Wantage School, the state of New Jersey, Route 23 is a state-owned road, and they on Monday installed a guardrail, which we had asked for, probably 6 months earlier. The guardrail on the same side as Wantage School Road, when I first started as principal there, I asked for it. It took about 2 years, and they installed that. So this was a much quicker window, and it turned out great. Hopefully, add safety to that area of 23. One exciting thing to make the board aware of that we're kind of in the infancy stages of working through, in particular, a teacher named Mr. Terwilliger at the Wantage School, great guy, always trying to do what's best for our school district, is in discussions with Nielsen Ford. You may recall years ago, Wantage School did a couple of events over a couple of years called Drive One for Your School, and that's sponsored by Ford, but we have no preferential treatment. We'll take Chevys, Dodges, whatever. So in the case that I've experienced, the Ford will bring, I want to say 15 cars or so, trucks, brand new to your facility, your school, and all folks have to do is publicize it and come in for a test drive. Licensed drivers, of course, come in for a test drive, and they would zoom up to the township hall, come back 23, come back into the parking lot, and you raise money for your school from Ford corporate just for taking a test drive. No commitment to buy. I would find it really hard to believe that they ever sold a car here based on those test drives. But it's a way for them to collaborate with schools and communities. So, according to him, he called me before and he said, make sure the board knows that Nielsen is interested in doing that. He's been assigned a case manager, so to speak. So it looks like what I'm going to try to do with him is there's another event that they do called Community Drive One for Your Community. So he's trying. He's a Ford guy, and I think he's on his 45th Ford back from when you were a student.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
you could do it if it was Chevy.
Yeah. So I think he probably has a little clout there. So he's trying to get both events for the district, and what we would, we're in, again, just the beginning conversations, but try to raise money for both. In this case, potentially Sussex Middle School, a joint effort, and Wantage School, maybe put it towards a trip or other initiative. Not that we would seek to alienate a large school in any way, but it's kind of more of a,
I think the last time they did it was with Baytown.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. So we always kind of get behind one idea so that the folks know what they're potentially trying to raise money for. Last, I think 2 times it was the Wantage School playground. So that's exciting. To get the board's feedback, I was just looking to get the board community feedback on, we're looking to spruce up the curb appeal of Sussex Middle School in particular. We had it pressure washed, we had the bottom concrete stain. Hopefully, pending approval tonight, we'll have some new landscaping features put in over the next week or so. And then on the Route 565, there's looks like an original wooden Sussex Middle School sign with some outdated plantings beneath it. At some point, a couple years ago, that new blue digital sign was put in, fairly expensive sign. And I don't know if there are any discussions about removing the old sign, or, if it were to stay there, I think we kind of would need to rehab it, paint it, and, spruce up the plantings. If not, you potentially take it down if you didn't feel like you needed it anymore, and maybe do, I know historical things are important to the community, maybe like re-envisioning it through, art students or something, and Mr. Schwartz had the idea of displaying it somewhere in the building. So I'm just looking at the board's take on it, if anybody knows anything about that sign, whether or not it's historic in any nature.
Not that I know.
So you're comfortable with us kind of exploring what to do with it and making a recommendation to you folks? Okay. As always, right out there, there's a weeping, small weeping tree.
565, that's not 565.
Oh, I'm sorry. Right across the street with a pet place. Okay. And that's all I had at this juncture.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dahl. At this time, we'll move on to audience remarks. Members of the audience are invited to make brief comments about items on this agenda and matters of interest to the district.
Should I talk to that, or do I just stand here?
If you wouldn't mind, I guess it's not even set up anyway. There's good. Yeah.
There you go. I'm not a very public speaker.
But, so I am here,
I'm
my
sorry, if you would
daughter's,
just state your...
Maureen Ventimiglia, Wantage. My daughter's going into 5th grade. She's been in the Gifted and Talented program since 1st grade. And through the last couple of years, it's a handful of times that she gets the enrichment that she's funded for. And I just don't, I think Ms. Campana gets stretched through subbing and other things, so she's not getting pulled out. I think it's supposed to be 1 hour a week where she takes care of her week worth of work so she can get pulled out. So sorry for this, but I don't understand why she's not getting that enrichment, which is the school's funded for and she qualifies for. So,
have you spoken to folks at the school about it before?
I have,
Okay.
I have in the past, I brought it up, and she's still, this year was the worst, it's like a handful for the whole year. And I just think, I mean, it was fourth grade, she was in fourth grade this past year, she's going into fifth. So I just think that she deserves that, and other kids do as well, it's not just her, she's one of all the kids in the fifth county. So, and Ms. Campana's one person, and she's stretched between both schools. And I love her, she's great, and she does a great job with the kids, but it's just, I don't understand why she's getting pulled to sub, and those kids are not getting the enrichment that they should be getting.
Yeah, I would agree with you. You know,
You know, I know there's other teachers that do other things that kids get pulled out for, that you could never pull them and put them in a sub position, where Ms. Campana does get pulled into those positions, so. I don't know, I just got lost.
You know, I'll definitely have a conversation with Mr. Gregory. I'll have a little bit more oversight, you know,
Okay.
direct involvement in Lawrence School.
Okay, and I did, it was at the Lawrence School where I initially brought it up, and then
So you spoke to Mrs. Connors?
it wasn't Mrs. Connors because she was already over, it was Mr. Coaches, so it was back, all the way back then.
okay.
So, and I didn't bring it up with Mr. Gregory, because I just think it's a big deal for her, and she likes doing it, and she works, get her work done for the week, so she can step out for an hour, so.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments? All right, seeing none, can we have the board secretary certification?
Pursuant to NJAC 6A 23A-16.10C3, I certify that as of July 31st, 2019, no line item account has encumbrances and expenditures which in total exceed the line item appropriation is a violation of NJAC 6A 23A-16.10.
All right, we will move on to the approval of board minutes for June 13th, 2019, work session and executive session, as well as June 26th, 2019, regular session and executive session, number 1 and number 2. So looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Nuss,
I'll second.
Mrs. Ramzan. Roll call, please.
Mr. Nuss?
Yes.
Mrs. Ramzan?
Yes.
Mrs. Fields?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele? Yes. Mrs. Liddy? Yes. Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Minutes are approved.
All right, I do not believe we need executive session, thankfully. The last one, so thank you for that. So we'll move on to the presentation of agenda items.
Under personnel, I'd like to move items 1 through 22.
All right, looking for a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Discussion?
Yes, and I apologize, I did not ask Mr. Ball, I didn't talk to him, so I'm sorry.
Well, you can't now.
Sorry for putting you on the spot, but, I'm just curious, I know we let go certain people, so now we're rehiring?
TA?
Yeah. Why?
Yes, so you'll see, that's to compensate for a couple of resignations,
Okay,
and then new students moving into the district or IEPs changing.
okay, all right, and I apologize for not talking.
You don't have to apologize.
Let me see if there's anything else. While I'm there.
All right, any other
Yeah.
discussion?
I just-
Roll call, please.
Mr. Nuss?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Fields?
Yes.
Mrs. Ramzan?
Yes.
Mrs. Liddy?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Just interject here and point out Mrs. Steele's question, the follow-up question is, we're also bound by the TAs that we're bringing back or being called back on a specific callback list in which they were reduced for budgetary reasons. It's called a RIF. Under policy, I'd like to move items 1 through 5.
All right, looking for a motion?
I'll motion.
Second. Thank you. Discussion.
I have a discussion with that. Are these the, under number 4, the STEAM curriculum, are these the titles that were put on the kids' report card or kids' schedules?
I don't know the answer to that.
I think.
Okay.
At
Should
least
have
one
answered
isn't.
the question. Okay.
So, you know, I'm kind of disappointed that that wasn't decided with discussions for now.
It's also probably, they're probably hesitant to make that change until the curriculum is formally approved.
All right, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Renzan?
Yes.
Mr. Nuss?
Yes.
Mrs. Fields?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Under finance, I'd like to move items 1 through 11.
Looking for a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Looking for a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Nuss?
Yes.
Ms. Renzan?
Yes.
Mrs. Fields?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes on numbers 1 through 10, no on number 11.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Under curriculum, I'd like to move item number 1.
Looking for a motion?
I'll motion.
I'll second that.
Discussion. All right, roll call, please.
Ms. Renzan?
Yes.
Mr. Nuss?
Yes.
Mrs. Fields?
Yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mrs. Whitty?
Yes.
Mr. D'Agostino?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, we will move on at this point to unfinished business. Does anyone on the board have any unfinished business?
Yep.
That's good, I've been waiting for a few months. A few months.
Let it all out.
Stop it. I just have one issue. It's not even an issue. But remember a few months ago, we were discussing the drop off and pickup here at SMS?
Okay.
Is that been addressed? Has a new plan has been revised or?
Drop off and pick up here is a challenge because of the, you know, the logistical limitations
Right.
of this loop. And I can't, you know, walking through it with Mr. Schwartz, we can't have, you know, you never want to have the cars interacting with the buses, so keeping them separate. So at this juncture, a couple of things that we're going to reinforce at the beginning of the school year, not just at Sussex Middle School, but at Lawrence School too, because as a, you know, being more intimately involved with that, you see a couple of things that increasing the awareness of, for drop-offs, making sure you let your child out on the passenger side. I know sometimes there may be challenges with, you know, car seat and precluding you, but that's a big thing in particular at the Lawrence School that would help facilitate a better environment here. Here sometimes because that gets filled up, some folks who may not necessarily appropriately be in handicap spaces will kind of wait in those areas there, so we've asked the security officer to kind of reinforce that you can. There's a sign here that was put up. I don't think there was any necessarily you know, state approval at the time, and I don't even know if it's required because it's on our property. But there's a sign that Mrs. Hoskins had installed where I think it was no left turn between certain hours.
Yes.
And they always do.
Yeah, so reinforcing that because that compromises the amount of, you know, time buses may have to take out, you know, just from my observations of watching the logistics there, for an entirely different issue. Do you have any other suggestions?
Well, our security guard, what, you know, maybe he could go out on the street here and stop the traffic and direct the buses out, make it quicker. You know what I'm saying? Because that, Hardiston does that. They have the police officers there, they stop the traffic on Route 23 for that period of 10 minutes or 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And they just let those buses go and
They
whatever
have
cars.
their own
Yeah.
police force?
Yeah, and whatever cars are there,
Would
they
it be
just let them
possible
go.
to just take
So you know, I don't speak for the New Jersey
No,
State
no, I know,
Police,
I know.
but I can tell you, like, for Lawrence School, right, I sent because I'm anticipating, you know, especially in the beginning of the school year, trying to help folks get into a routine, I requested the sheriff's department to send somebody out, and they very often don't have a resource, and they, you know, at this juncture said, yeah, no problem, Mike, I need them for like 2-3 days. For the state police or someone to commit to you much longer than that, it's probably not realistic on their end. you
Right.
know?
So maybe our security officer could go out there
Yeah.
and do that. You know, I'm thinking maybe, you know,
Yeah.
because they are retired.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things are going through my mind as you're saying that.
Liability.
Well, a couple things, so,
Well,
You know,
yeah,
some,
there's always a liability.
some we'll
with
look at.
everything,
yeah.
You know, but at least you can move the buses out, and the buses will be gone, and
You can't do anything on Newton Ave with the pickups? You're just-
no, because they all come in that way, and that's where the buses go, so you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
And now that you said that that sign may be illegal,
I
you might have a problem
yeah,
with
I'm
that.
not saying that.
Paul.
I'm just don't, you know, I don't know if what the process was for installing that sign, and whether or not you can enforce that sign. Yeah.
Well, you can, because if it's legally put there from the township or, you know, the borough or the state,
I would,
Then, yeah, you can legally
I would
enforce it.
suspect it was us.
but if it wasn't legally put there, I'm gonna say, I'm going.
Something like that. You know, even back at the Wantage School, I tried to devise, you know, could you break up grade levels and have, you know, these folks stationed here and report to this door, and then have, you know, for fourth and fifth, and then have third graders over here? Would that increase, you know, the efficiency? But then, you know, you would have people who have multiple age children in a building, and then, you know, so you're compromised here by the,
Right,
yeah.
I'm just curious.
Bringing up the handicap parking also at Lawrence schools, it's the same thing. Like when I go pick up my son,
Yeah.
and people parking there, they don't have a tag, they don't have a plate.
So you call the state police and you give them the ticket.
And a
In the
couple-
morning,
By the time the
give them
state
a
police
ticket.
show up,
They
everyone,
might not-
everyone would be home for, you know, having dinner at that point.
And if you get an opportunity to go up to Lawrence,
Because now you're not gonna be able to go through.
if you go up to Lawrence, you have the opportunity to visit the campus now. We've taken the opportunity to have
I've
some
seen
improvements
those.
done, yeah.
Okay.
So there's, it used to be the opportunity, not that many people did it, but you had the opportunity that if you park right in front facing the school, you could pull forward and interact with buses, which
Right.
is, so now there's a series of bollards there, and the concrete, you know, bumpers where you can't do that. Clear signage for handicap parking. There was actually a debate going back and forth with the architect that the symbol for the handicap parking spaces is blue, but the architect designated the lines white. And to me, Mr. Petrowski and the gentleman painting them, that seemed odd. You know, you usually see it in
Yeah.
blue everywhere you go, and then we checked before we put the paint on the ground, because you don't want to do that. That with the architect, and the architect sure enough came back and said, you know, what they're experiencing with ADA compliance is that there's not enough contrast between blue and the black pavement, so they do a combination now. So we have the most up-to-date features with that. There's also some bollards on the other side of the road, designed to enhance the security of the front of the building, the front entranceways. You know, clearly delineated signage and stuff like that now, and then you kind of watch the first couple of days to see how things flow. We need some additional signage or a barricade put up somewhere. You know, we have the flexibility to do those things. Or can always use a volunteer like you, Mrs. Fields, out front. Tell them people.
Hey, if I was home, I would be down here.
Yeah, I-
Bless you.
Bless you.
I'd be directing the traffic.
You date the next time.
Yes.
Is
I have
there-
a few you can use.
Is there any other unfinished business?
Subpay,
Yeah, but 10 years is a long time
yeah.
to have a requirement to get, like anyone that's been subbing for like 3 years, if I knew I had to wait 10 years to get the max, I'd be looking. So I think we need to.
And speaking on that woman's part, you know, like Mrs. Campana seems to be bold, because we don't seem to be able to attract enough subs to, you know, not have the habit, and so that's an issue.
So I mean, how many folks would be looking to move potentially beyond just doing what I've said, rectifying the $85
I
piece?
think you need to drop it from that 10 years to like 5 years.
I would
Some
say
kind
5 years,
Make it so that there's some
light at the end of the tunnel.
sooner
Can I,
than
can I
later.
just suggest that in the weekly rundown, I'll give you numbers on how many people that would go from this number to this number and
What that would
financially
cost,
on
Or
the
what it's gonna
district.
cost the district.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
And also, we're not gonna have a choice anyway, because the minimum wage is gonna continue to go up, and it's gonna be at that $100 really soon. is at $80 a day is only, I believe, $11.66 an hour. And minimum wage has gone up to $11 January 1st, and $1 thereafter every year. So, soon enough, it's all gonna have to be raised anyway.
All right, anyone else? Unfinished business? All right, we'll move on to new business. Does anybody have any new business? All right, well, just on behalf of the board, we hope everybody had a great summer. And we just want to wish the faculty, staff, administration, and most importantly, the students, a great school year. And, we look forward to many activities and more lively meetings to come now that the summer is over.
You're wishing that upon us?
All right, so
Define,
Yeah.
define lively.
Yeah, lively.
All right, let's move on to audience remarks. Members of the audience are invited to make brief comments about items on this agenda and matters of interest to the district. All right, seeing none, we are going to move into executive session. There will be no action taken. Can I get a resolution, please?
For 10:01.
10 minutes. We'll be in for 10 minutes.
Whereas pursuant to NJSA 10:4-12E, the Sussex-Wantage Regional Board of Education may exclude the public from that portion of a public meeting in which the board discusses any of the matters described at NJSA 10:4-12B 1 through 9. Now therefore be it resolved that the Sussex-Wantage Regional Board of Education shall enter into a closed session to discuss personnel and legal matters. Now therefore be it resolved by the Sussex-Wantage Regional Board of Education pursuant to NJSA 10:4-13B, the time when and the circumstances under which the discussion conducted in closed session can be disclosed to the public is when the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
All right, looking for a motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, all in favor?
Aye.